Jack said to me and Meg have been playing music.
I'd like to introduce to you a band that you know and love. Come to you like the sound of equipment being thrown from a moving van, the sound of dead cell phones and oil rigs, the sound of empty parking lots and school buses. They love to live and live to love. Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus Children of America, the White Stripes.
Hello, come on in. The water's great. My name is Ryan Schaap, and this is the hardest podcast to podcast, the only podcast covering the White Stripes, and we're doing it one song at a time, one song per episode. How you doing today? I gotta be honest, it's been a little while since I've done this. It's been a couple weeks. I'm gonna try to remember all the dance moves as I push this camera into the right spot. How you doing? Okay, it's been a while. I'm doing well. Last episode, Offend in Every Way with Kyle Ross. Boy, that feels like ages ago. I really appreciate you, your understanding, and sometimes my goal is to have an episode every week. Sometimes you get sick, sometimes you get tired, sometimes you wait for guests to align, and there's a lot of irons in the fire, and have some fun things booked. But sometimes you got to take a breather. That's the moral of the story. You're doing things because you want to, not because you have to. That's what I did. A lot has happened since we were put out a podcast. A lot has happened. Frozen Charlotte has come out. I've got a copy right here. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/hardestpodtopod, you can see me holding a copy. The indie record store copy. 13 tracks. G.O.D. and the Broken Ribs all the way to Neighbor Blues. They got everything you could need in this record. Jack White's latest album. His 7th album? That sounds right. So this is again, if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're not, why aren't you? Indie Record Store Blue. Last Wednesday, for all of the independent record store listening parties, I was booked up. I had it was a Wednesday night, which is a busy night for me doing the stream. So I sent a stand-in. I sent my lovely wife, our assistant editorial producer, Amanda, to essentially make sure she got her name in the draw for the signed test pressing, and to check out the record. And bless her heart, bless her soul, she did. After an ungodly, busy, stressful work day, drove across town in rush hour to go to the record store, go to Neptune here, and stood around, listened to the new record, which she liked, and I said to her, I'm going to leave it up to you. I've got the Chrome version pre-ordered from Jack White's web store, but if you think it's warranted that we need a second copy, you pick me up the indie blue. Or lo and behold, she comes home and there's the indie blue. She was also the listening instructions, which, I mean, let's be real, I think any album needs these days. You gotta know how to ingest safely and accordingly. Don't listen to it in the tub. Don't listen to the tub face down, and it encourages you to listen during a tornado. So, hell, if you're in the Midwest or the fire up good Charlotte, Frozen Charlotte, I'm gonna have something a little more thorough on the Hardest Pod to Pod Patreon coming up in towards the end of the week, early next week about this album. It's very good. It's very good, but it's a little mysterious. I don't want any of that to be taken the wrong way. It's we'll dive into it on the bonus show. So if you do want a little bit more content, White Stripes related, Jack White related, or Frozen Charlotte related, and you want to support our show, go to patreon.com/hardestpodtopod. That URL, once again, is patreon.com/hardestpodtopod. If you're listening, it is linked in the bio. It is linked in the description. Go click around. It is free to look. On the subject of Frozen Charlotte, a lot has happened. Man, I got a lot of show and tell to do. Listener of ours, James Peters, from just outside Detroit, Michigan. Him and a pal began 3D printing the Frozen Charlotte statues, and he messaged me and said, "Do you want one?" And when I picked my jaw up off the floor because of the photo he sent me, it looked so cool. I said, "Yes, absolutely." Lo and behold, last week I got my own Frozen Charlotte statue. It looks cool as hell. Check that out. The ridges on this 3D printed just look incredible. It gives it this little sheen, and I'm lucky as hell to get this. And I can't thank James enough. I can't thank all of our listeners who have sent me cool stuff. Check this out. He also sent me this Peppermint 45 RPM 7-inch single adapter, also 3D printed, which I think is just the coolest. I've got one adapter. It's from I think it's from the Boarding House Reach Vault package. So that's the one I've been using, but that one's gonna get retired. This is an audio medium, and we will get to today's show shortly. Josh Custodio on the show discussing the Denial Twist. But another thing I got to show you is I'm at the record store, poking around. It was on our anniversary, so it was June 22nd. And I came up with a lovely little idea. We were going for a great dinner just up the road from Neptune Records. And I was like, well, I have a cute idea. Let's buy each other, we have 15 minutes, go to the record store, buy a record for each other as an anniversary gift. Amanda got me a great Patsy Cline live album, and I picked out the new Olivia Rodrigo album for her, which no complaints. But I'm going through the singles. I'm going through they got a big box of 7-inch singles in the back, and I see this, and I'm like, what is that? And I'm like, well, I know that's the 16 Saltines album or cover art. I'm like, what the hell is this? This looks fake. And, I pick it up and, that's legit. And they were $20 each. They've been sitting around a while. I don't know where they came from. They also had this one for Love Interruption. And I'm like, wait, what is going on here? So I don't recall this. I buy them on the spot because they seem authentic. Go home to Discogs, and there were tour versions on the Blunderbuss tour for the 3 singles. And I completely spaced. I completely forgot. And when I saw them in 2012, they weren't for sale, or I didn't care enough to buy them, but I don't remember them. So I bought them on the spot. And glad I did. Cool as hell. I don't know how long those were sitting around somewhere for. They had these archaic price tags on them that took so long to peel off, to do it delicately and properly. So yeah, I'm swimming with Jack White vinyl and 3D printed goods, and that's just all in a hard day's work here at the Hardest Pod to Pod. So Josh Custodio makes his third appearance on the podcast, the third man. And we're talking about the Denial Twist, the third single off of Get Behind Me, Satan. The first song ever performed on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. That's one thing I forgot to bring up on the podcast. But this was a really fun chat. It was good to get lost in the sauce because there's so much about this song. There's so much we learned about the Get Behind Me, Satan recording sessions from Ben Blackwell. So, I would say that the Blue Orchid episode is a good companion piece for this song. And the last video, directed by Michel Gondry, with Conan O'Brien. So there's a lot to talk about. I don't want to waste any more time here. So what I'm going to do is ask you to hit pause on this podcast. Go to your streaming platform of choice. Go find Get Behind Me, Satan. Go find track 6. Fire up the Denial Twist. And then maybe go watch the YouTube video. But mostly go listen to it on your streaming platform of choice. Why? So that way it is as fresh in your mind as it was in my mind and Josh's mind when we talked about it. And also, We got to improve that little bit of streaming data. Get that blip on the radar just a little bit bigger so those fat cats at Third Man can notice what we're doing and they can hear the noise we're making. With that being said, I ain't doing the denial twist. I am not in denial. It is time to talk to Josh. Our guest this week is the host and creator of Wrestling Brain, where you can find him discussing the world of professional wrestling. He has a magnificent head of hair, and his music once went viral. He is Josh Custodio. Josh, how are you doing this week?
It's funny you bring that up, man. I was thinking about that viral music video the other day. My friend Brock, who, we were talking about just sort of our creative paths and, you feel satisfied, you don't feel satisfied and different things. And then I had like the cruel realization that this horrible song, I think in 2012 from the band I was in, is the most successful thing I've ever done in music. And that was a tough pill to swallow. But yes, it did go viral, and it's great to be back here on the hardest podcast to podcast.
Did you wish a better song went viral?
I wish I would have saved that video concept for the band after, was like my direct thought, is that if any Chica song would have been, I mean, who knows if it still goes viral or whatever, but I wish something else would have been given the shot than something that sounds like cell phone music from the early 2000s.
Since you were here last, which was, I would say it's a handful of months, I think late last year, give me a Jack White related or White Stripes development that has happened to you since you were on this show last.
To me?
Yeah, anything.
Well, I think the closest thing I have is you constantly being in growing, or I suppose decreasing distance and growing proximity to the man himself. So I'll say that one.
I like it. You never know what people are gonna. You ambush them with White Stripes lore and factoids and Jack White related whimsy, and you don't know how where that's going to take them after they get out of the hot seat. So I'm always curious.
Yeah, it's all my excitement about all things Jack White is channeled through this podcast in 2026. It's exciting to watch your success, man.
It's a fun journey, and I think with a lot of creative projects that I'm involved with, including with yourself, it's not hard work. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's not hard, and it's fun, and you one time in passing, you mentioned the term brick by brick in terms of building something, and that really stuck with me. And it's just like, every day, if you can do something that shows that you are not spinning your tires, it's a good day, and you are rewarded sooner rather than later with that type of work ethic.
Here more than what we do on Wrestling Brain, but even still, neither of us do broad content, right? It's niche content, and the only way to view that is brick by brick, as far as I'm concerned. What could possibly break out about a White Stripes podcast that's going to get a zillion people to tune in? Again, maybe you land an interview big enough that it changes the numbers for that week. Like, there's things you can do, but it's not some sort of, this isn't going to turn you into Brad Pitt. There's no end goal of that, right? It's the desire. Well, I'm not saying you don't have the looks for it. I'm just saying that a niche podcast, there isn't the road there, but big in your sphere is very fun to chase.
It really is. I think that's well put. And honestly, in this day and age, in 2026, you can't just, hey, we're gonna have a podcast and we're gonna talk about things. It's like, it's been done. It's been done for 15
years. My friends are pretty funny.
Put a mic in front of us.
Yeah.
We'll give you a lot. We love a good riff here, but you need to boil it down, much like the White Stripes, to the simplest form. And I feel like that's the recipe for success for whatever content you want to create in this day and age, because it's all been done and done to death.
Now, I want to bring up something. You mentioned it's been a couple months since I've been here. Can I talk about that?
Sure.
Because I have some questions about your booking here. Of course, I'm a fan of the program.
Okay.
You go all the way back to the beginning. Episode 2, you're going, listen, it's a new show. I got to bring in a hitter early. Let's get in old Jay Zero. Okay, no problem. I'm here. It's episode 2. Right after me, My dear friend Mike Noble. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Follow 6 months into the future. I'm there again. I'm doing handsprings. Right after me, there's my brother Mike Noble doing Candy Cane Children.
Yeah.
Fast forward another 5-6 months. You know where I'm going with this, right? I see Mike Noble doing an episode, and I'm thinking, okay, hang on, what happened here? Is this did I get turned into dog food and I didn't even realize it? Did they say this old horse is nothing but glue? Send him out here. I'm no longer setting the stage for Hotel Mirror's Mike Noble. I'm cleaning up after him. It's well, what's going on here, Ryan? What do you have to say for yourself, or your booking committee? I suppose you could pass this on to them.
Ironically enough, I do say at the end of every episode that Mike Noble is my booker, my Gato. So you should take it up with the booker because I got nothing to do with it. Take it up with him.
Yeah, all right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm going to try and get my cat off my lap here, but I am listening.
All right, certainly. So we're doing Denial Twist this week. This was the the third single off of Get Behind Me, Satan in 2005. And before we talk about the song, I want to talk about this review from Pitchfork. Now, Pitchfork is normally quite snarky and judgy and high on their own supply, and that's fine. And this is not it. But the reviewer, who gave the album a 7.3, says, one can't help but feel that if perhaps the White Stripes had seen fit to take the necessary time to give cuts like Forever for Her or The Denial Twist a sincere revision or two, we might have been looking at a stone cold classic. That sat around in the back of my head, and every time I listened to this song, I tried to hear of, where they could have improved upon it, where it could have been better, where they could have redone it. Hearing that off the top here, how do you take that? Is this a song that needs a revision, or it's cutting the mustard the way it is?
Well, first of all, I'll say during this time period, I was a dyed-in-the-wool Pitchfork guy. Probably read this review at the time, maybe even before I would have gotten the album. I would have bought the album either way, but certainly this would have been an important review to me. Like, what's Pitchfork saying about the new White Stripes album? I think Get Behind Me, Satan probably would have been the first album by them that I would have been sort of following online and watching reviews for. I had a Rolling Stone subscription, but all the same. And I'm going to be honest, I actually think he picks kind of bad examples there. I think his anecdote about maybe being undercooked a little bit reads truer of Get Behind Me, Satan than of The Denial Twist or Forever for Her is Over for Me, which are actually two of my favorite songs on the album. But I would say that the album, and I'm sure maybe its diehard fans would enjoy this about it, but does feel maybe looser and less meticulous and less rules-based than your standard White Stripes fare, or at least what came before it. I suppose Icky Thump sort of continues to innovate in that direction more than Retreat. But I don't really feel that way about Denial Twist, but if he was listening to the whole album and channeling his feelings on it through that, I maybe I can agree with him.
Listening back this week, I found the song, which is like arguably the second or third strongest song on the album, in my opinion. It's not as cutting as maybe other tracks. It's a little. What is going on? Jesus Christ! I said an IKEA ad. Play while I had the lyrics. Holy shit.
That's hilarious. You got to leave that in. The IKEA demon.
The IKEA demon strikes again. Not in a
His name is Ghost-Schwagertsong.
Oh, you assemble him in 4 easy steps, and then it just haunts you like a motherfucker.
Who you going to call? Ghostbustoff. Now you have to leave it in. We got to plunge a great bit out of it.
Yeah, and plus, I sold it. It happened. It's not the clearest of sounding songs off Get Behind Me, Satan. Now, I'm not saying it's muddy at all, but when I was thinking of that review and just trying to overanalyze this album, I thought maybe it wasn't, it didn't jump off the page sonically as maybe others. And which made me to think that when Ben Blackwell was on this show doing Blue Orchid, the song Big Get, the song that saved the record, he said that The Denial Twist was the first song or first fragments of a song that they began to work with when they got together to do the Get Behind Me Satan sessions. So maybe it was recorded early in, but this, I feel like there's not too much they can really improve upon outside of maybe, layering it up, but, putting guitar in or another, a bigger, vocal channel. But like, it's great the way it is. It perfectly encapsulates what they were looking to write, capture, and record in that era.
I kind of find it impossible to even talk about what you're talking about there without thinking about its relationship to My Doorbell. Because when we talk about where it's being written in the process, it's definitely written in proximity to My Doorbell. Like, he is sitting behind the piano going bom, 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 and he comes up with those two songs. That's how I'm imagining it, or at least within days of one another, and he's sort of in that zone because these are more keys-led, not similar riffs, but similar played piano in both of them. And if My Doorbell is meant to be the punchy, come for this person, stay for the other, more charismatic version of the two, then I can kind of accept My Doorbell as the sort of B-side sleeper hit answer to it. And that's at least how I sort of view the two songs. So I wouldn't have gone anywhere with either of them. And again, if this extends to a discussion about Get Behind Me Satan, I would say that there are songs that should, like, Take's a great example to me of a song that I really like parts of it.
Yeah.
And I even sort of like its sea change sort of nature.
For sure.
But it feels like, okay, there's something more iterative to come out of that. But I don't feel that way about Denial Twist.
No, those other songs on the album, I was listening to Instinct Blues on the way home, and that's another song where I'm like, I always think of like Jack's battles with the instruments, and you can hear him battling with his airline, which is in terrible condition in 2005, and he's trying to do those really muted tight licks, and he's just like not able to do it in time at certain times in the recording. But clearly they've captured something so special that he's like, well, that's the song. That's what I want to capture. That the song was at that moment, and we've got it on tape. But you're right. There are take as much as I like the jittery. It feels like you're cutting tapes to you're slicing reel to reel tape together. It's still maybe on purpose feels a little jarring or all over the place. But at the end of the day, it does kind of feel a little bit undercooked.
When I think of the Denial Twist within these terms, what I think of is a song that actually is kind of they know that this one's going to be sent out to the wild. Like Blue Orchid is the song that they go, this is for the White Stripes fans. But I imagine early into it, they knew that this was probably a likely single. And again, they were probably chasing this piano-led zone that they were going to enter and sort of exit their more riff rock, grosh rock. And so it's easy for me to understand how they arrive at this song. So I guess I don't have to break my brain to figure out the opposite or if it should have changed.
Yeah, and at this time, Jack's gone on record in a bunch of interviews at the time that, during this era of the band, he moves out of his parents' house that he eventually bought into the home that they recorded this album in, and he's got space. So he's got a big piano in the front foyer. The Seven Nation Army checks are coming in, and so he's like, the instrument that I am nearest to and most accessible to and kind of drawn to is the piano. So a lot of these, this is their piano album, and it comes, you hear it in these demos that were released with the 20th anniversary of Get Behind Me Satan. Jack's got a handheld recorder, and there's a great demo of like the actual first time he records this, and the structure's pretty much there.
I was going to say, it's pretty close. I listened to those demos. You sent a great form beforehand. And that's a pretty, I don't know if that's actually, like, what does a demo mean for Jack White, right? Like, how far into the recording process? He's not a guy with a million iPhone phone notes or what have you, especially not around this era. But it is like, it is very much the Denial Twist.
Yeah. I do love that at the end of that tape, you can hear him having a conversation with somebody, and he's like, "I thought you were talking shit about me."
I love that stuff in general.
It's great. And the structure of the song's pretty much there. He kind of works out some kinks with the vocal line, and take this with a grain of salt, but this was the song that took the most amount of time to record on Get Behind Me, Satan.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I would have guessed maybe The Nurse. That's interesting.
Now I say that because there's 3 takes of this song that were recorded.
Wow.
And you could hear an alternate one also on that 20th anniversary one. And you can kind of hear them working. Meg's got a bit of a drum pattern into the breakdown there, where the song kind of builds and builds, but it's pretty much similar, and it just kind of seems that after that recording, after that take, they go, let's just keep it simple here and have that space, and we'll fill it in live. But it doesn't seem like there was much to change about this.
Agreed.
Interesting thing about this track, very rarely are there additional musicians on it. Jack's brother, Eddie Gillis, he performs tambourine and shakers on the track, and he now manages the vinyl pressing plant in Third Man Records in Detroit. So
a lot to infer here. Obviously, Jack's favorite sibling. We can say that walking away, right? Gets to play on the record and work at Third Man. This is favorite brother for sure. That actually is crazy. Like, I have no way to read this besides him being like, all right, fine, you can play on a White Stripes song. Like, is his brother actually the better tambourine player of the two of them? I would be surprised. I was so heartened to read this. Good for Jack. Let one of the siblings get in and get a little shine.
Well, Eddie, he has a more of a musical background. Him and a couple other brothers had this like bit of prog rock, stoner rock band called Catlin that played in the attic of the family's house, of the Gillis family house until Jack bought it. So
imagine trying to tell your friends about your band when you're older. And they're like, isn't your brother Jack White? And he's like, well, yeah. I was like, no, because your band, dude. Ew. No one cares. Tell us about your brother with the White Stripes.
Yeah, but if you were there in Lafayette, Indiana that night, we had 75 people at the bar watching us play.
Nasty stuff. I'm glad none of my siblings are in the White Stripes.
You and me both.
I guess the equivalent for me, though, would be one of my sisters is Dave Meltzer. And so not even in a jealousy sense, I'm just glad that that's not happening for their sake.
Yeah, you're really taking the fun and the enjoyment out of this. Let me tell you about it, Dave.
Things change. For your listeners, that's the lead wrestling broadcaster, the most known and paid one.
Absolutely. I believe this is the second Gillis brother to take part in a White Stripes song. Leo Gillis helped write the lyrics to Broken Bricks off their debut album.
What is this? What are these ringings? None of them are talented? Help me with the lyrics and the tambourine? Well, this is so confusing. Jack has written, this guy goes on to write just music flows out of Jack White. Once he was like, one of my brother thinks what words I should sing here. Bizarre. This is bizarre to hear.
Yeah. Or he's like, I don't have it down pat, right? Or it's like, Eddie won't leave. He wants to get involved. Here, let's take a tambourine in his hand like Linda McCartney.
Shake it around.
I believe Eddie also lent them gear and helped record a couple early singles. He's a bit of the guiding light older brother.
So maybe owed him one kind of deal.
Yeah, like there's a photo of Eddie Gillis on Discogs, and he's got a really ugly Dan Electro double neck guitar that I've seen Jack White play in a bootleg once, and just a pile of old analog gear. So
I kind of like those Dan Electros. I remember ages ago, Long McQuaid had them. I was just astonished at how cheap they were. Like, they were like $250 Canadian.
Yeah.
And I ended up buying an SG, but I could have been a Dan Electro guy.
Well, you think like, oh, Jimmy Page plays this black and white Dan Electro. It's got to cost all the money in the world.
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah.
And then you look at other items that are for sale that have Dan Electro's name brand on them, and they ain't breaking the bank.
There was somebody I thought was very cool at the time who played a Dan Electro too. I'm completely blanking now, but I remember being like, oh, maybe Dan Electros are cool. And then everybody I knew who was a better musician than me was like, well, they suck to play. I was like, well, okay. I'll buy this way overpriced Gibson SG I can't afford.
Hey, that's Satan's guitar, man.
Get behind me. That's why I want the guitar.
You're a smart man. There is for a song that is like 2.5 minutes long, there is a lot of words behind these, in these lyrics. Not a bad thing, but it almost comes off like Jack's almost rapping, over this like piano track.
So, former guest of your show, the aforementioned Mike Noble, he and I and some other friends, we were in a trivia band. Well, we're a house band for a once-a-month trivia night at a bar here, the Biltmore Cabaret in Vancouver. And so we would write songs, new songs every month have to come up. And so I would help write the songs for our singer, Matt Prince. And I just remember months in, Matt being like, how many words do you think I can say a line? I don't sing like you. Like, I write half as many words per line if I'm going to sing them. It was like illuminating for me. It's like, oh yeah, I am like, and you are, whoa. And so, yeah, I think maybe I should have called in my brother like Jack did. Maybe that's where he brought him in.
Let's tighten these lyrics up, Jack. There's too many words, broken bricks. Let's keep it easy. Gunning. But this is a fun song. Right off the hop, you've got, it's very clear that this song is about being in denial, in a relationship, the things that are more impactful, and how you're kind of, just right off the bat, if you think that a kiss is all on the lips, come on, you got it all wrong, man. And if you think that a dance was all in the hips, oh well, then do the twist. Fun track. It's got 150 words per minute, like a Nickelback song. But it tells this, it just paints this funny picture that Jack likes to regularly sing about, the intensities of love and, the intensities of relationships. He's talking about overreactions cause these things to fall apart. And, but in the end, you can't stop the truth. And it just kind of goes. What leaps off the page to you when listening to Jack sing these songs?
Two things. One, dancing is low-key all in the hips, regardless of whatever he wants to say. I love to dance, right? You want to go to a wedding and impress people? Just get, a lot of guys aren't really moving the bottom half. Get a little WD-40 in the hips. You'll be moving and grooving. You look like Charlie Kerr up there. And and then secondly, yeah, I mean, I read it as very much as you explained, where there's this, we've all been in a bad relationship that you're just sort of doing the denial twist in, and you're just sort of going through your day-to-day motions. It's easier to be there than to leave, and the truth is still hidden, but it's going to come out. And I mean, yeah, I think I don't find Jack White's lyrics to be anything that is special. Like when I think of my favorite lyricists, he doesn't come up, but if he has a strength, it's almost when he veers more into like James Murphy confessional, like no metaphor, no anything, say it how it is. Like I like that kind of songwriting. I feel like this falls into that camp.
Yeah, and I think one of Jack's big strong suits with writing lyrics is, he gets a little bit too clever for his own good, and it's not, and I enjoy it. Like coming up with these tongue-in-cheek word plays, everything is rhyming. It's, I got to cram something in to make this make sense, so it sounds like the last lyric.
Very playful. Yes. And this song has, it has so many things. It has so many of his calling cards, and I like lyrics. I like that. I like him talking about the denial in relationships. She's not hiding the truth. You're not hearing it. You're choosing not to see it, and then eventually this kind of wisdom bat hits you over the head, and you go, "Oh shit! It's all in front of me." This is working or this isn't working. And I'm seeing this situation completely wrong because of the rose-colored glasses. Yeah, totally. And again, I think everybody listening to this or watching this has probably been doing that at some point in their life. And not even necessarily about a relationship, although certainly that as well. But we're just sort of existing, and you would be better off somewhere else.
I went through my my White Stripes printed lyrics book.
That's cool.
Yeah, to see if there was any handwritten ones. because there are for a handful of songs, and you kind of get some insight into, how the song came to its final form. You see the doodles, or you see the scratching out, or you see words being changed. But for this, man, this just feels like he's spitting at times. Like he's just, it's flowing out of him so fast. And, because it does fit the song, but when you you hear the music and you see the printed word, you're like, how are you going to get all that into this? And it's just, he makes it work. He crams it all in and he goes.
Yeah. And frankly, I do, regardless of what I said about his lyricism before, I prefer this to somebody who's reaching and not getting there. Not everybody can be Isaac Brock. Not everybody can be Lou Reed. Not everybody can, like these guys who it's like, you read them, the words on their own, and you go, okay, maybe I don't completely disrespect poetry. Although I still largely disrespect it. I can see the written word of certain artists and move 1 inch closer to not completely disrespecting it all the time.
So you brought up you brought up his lyrics, and we're saying like, well, maybe it's not his strongest suit to creating music. What do you think is his strongest suit to creating music? What is his best ability? Yeah,
cinch. He's like he's the riff guy. He's he's the best riff writer I can think of. That's with a bullet his best strength as a strong writer.
Yeah, and whether it's guitar or pure on piano for Denial Twist, or the piano songs on Get Behind Me Satan, I don't know, I feel like he kind of, especially with the piano, with riffs, he doesn't try to overcomplicate things. He gets exactly what he needs out of these riffs, and just it feels almost like a Meg approach to the instrument a bit of what do I need? How can I get the most out of something so simple? And I really feel that in the Denial Twist.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's well covered. That's his approach for sure. The simplicity and certainly would extend to his riffs.
So let's talk about the legacy of this song. The White Stripes did a couple of unique things to promote this song. They released 3 different singles. One was live, 2 were studio tracks. And they had very unique artwork. One, Meg is befriending a raccoon, and she's got a portable record player putting headphones on the raccoon's ears. And the next 2 are Jack coming by on a bicycle and appears to have killed the raccoon, potentially with this electric wand in his hand, and then appears to be in denial for what he has done because he has killed this animal. But when these were released, I didn't quite know what to think of it, because it was such a vast departure from the Get Behind Me Satan kind of promotional materials and the artwork for all the previous singles that, in the world, in that era of illegal downloading and file sharing, like, Kazaa and LimeWire, I'm like, did somebody like make these? Are these like Photoshops? Because it didn't seem anything like the White Stripes would do at the time.
Well, they're obviously messaging, this is what you get for listening to music. I think that's what you're supposed to be taking away. If you put those headphones on, we're going to kill you with an electric stick. I think that's the takeaway there. Yeah, I mean, it could be one of these things where they're doing, like, you know how artists are. They see, he saw an artist somewhere, he's like, oh yeah, this, do this, and it's one and done. How many different people have done artwork for his projects over the years?
Yeah, it reminds me of Prince had like some single, and for the artwork he used a photo of Dave Chappelle's impression of Prince with
That's right.
And it's like, I don't know, it's just like, fuck it, let's just have some fun with this.
Yeah, I love that as a call.
In November 2005, so this is the 3rd single of Off Satan, comes out on Halloween 2005.
Oh.
In November, the White Stripes do a 10-date tour of the UK. And to promote the single, each night they would perform the Denial Twist in a different way. Different instruments, different pitch, etc. And then if you attended the show that night, they would give you a blank CDR with custom artwork on the disc and the jewel case.
So cool.
And you could pay $2 or whatever it was to download the version from the show you went to, which I think is cool as hell because, you know, I remember going to see Kiss with my dad like 15 years ago, and it's like
Abbotsford Center.
It was a big city, man. It was
okay, never mind.
A little NHL arena, if you know what I mean. But they announced like, oh, after the show, you can go and buy and download a soundboard recording of the concert you just went to. And I'm like, why like every single show is exactly the same. This is Kiss. They're not veering off because the crowd's really hot. Like, who gives a shit? Like, this is the one in Vancouver is the exact same.
They're definitely selling the same copy, too. They're not recording one every night.
Yeah, it's like, we got a good one in Poughkeepsie. Let's just keep using that.
Yeah, edit in Vancouver for tonight. Let's call it a day.
But to have something very unique to the show that you go to, to the fact that they are playing the song in a special, unique way for you and that crowd that night, man, I think is pretty damn cool.
Yeah, digital souvenir in general is a cool idea. I've often thought, maybe triggered by Jack White, about what I call, and maybe it's not a problem for some people, but the cell phones at concerts problem is a real thing for me.
Yeah,
I'm a tall guy. I have watching too many concerts through somebody else's phone. Like, they're just holding up their phone, and that's my eye line.
Especially when a single comes out or when they're playing a hit. Oh,
it's psychotic, dude. And I also think that I understand it. It is the culture. I've been to comedy shows, where they lock the phone up, but that adds so much time to entering and exiting the venue that it doesn't feel very appropriate to me. And I think digital souvenirs are a really interesting way around this. So this is the Hardest Podcast to Podcast exclusive. I've thought about this a lot. Here's my solution for concerts. If you are a concert promoter and you want to steal this, or a band, please feel free. Just send me the check. Okay. So you go out there. You're a beloved artist. Okay. We can use Jack White here. People are going crazy. Jack's here. And you go, all right, everybody, great to be here in Poughkeepsie. Okay. The first 3 songs, get your phones out, take your pictures, go bananas, take pictures of everything. I want to see those phones. But then let's enter in a moment together, put those phones away, and we're going to have 8 photographers in the crowd tonight. They're going to be unchoosy with the photos that they post. We're going to put a QR code on the way out. You can scan that. You can see every photo taken tonight. We're going to be going out of our way to get nice pro shots of you enjoying the show tonight. Let's lock in, get those phones out first 3, and then you play a hit as the 3rd song. This is my plan. What do you think of this as a solution? Because I'm with you on the digital souvenir being a cool thing.
Well, so they are halfway there. Jack's had a professional photographer, David Swanson, who has been doing every show since he's been a solo act.
That's cool.
That here is high-res photos from the night. Take them, do whatever you want.
But is it photos of Jack or photos of the audience?
Photos of Jack.
Yeah, I'm talking about there are 8 people roaming the audience getting photos of you enjoying the show.
Oh, okay.
Because this is what they want. They want pictures of them at the show, stuff. They can get pictures of Jack in the first 3. I don't think a photographer of the artist is helpful here. But I like looking at those here.
I like that too. Now, he had a Faraday bag policy for 2 tours, Boarding House Reach in 2018 and then Fear of the Dawn.
Yeah.
And I've had great experiences with the phone going in the Faraday bag, but it is an extreme. Like,
no one knows. No one knows it's happening when they get there. There's no way to communicate to people. So people are like, I have to give my phone? Yeah. That's happening on repeat, was my experience.
And as sad as it is, like, hey, nothing better than looking at your phone. If I'm going to wait 6 hours to be front row at a Jack White concert, I want to kill that time by looking at my phone. So, you've got to talk to people. It's, I had a very fun night with some people I met because we didn't have any phones, and you got to talk to each other, and you got to exchange.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's like I get it, but it is an extreme, and not everybody wants an extreme. But sometimes an extreme is good, and you need a catalyst to say, we're teaching you how to swim tonight, throwing you off the dock.
Does anyone think concerts are better with phones in them? Like, straight up, does anybody think that?
No, it sucks. I've had countless concerts. I've only had one concert ruined for me with a phone, and it was when I saw Metallica at BC Place, and I was it was 2017. I was on the floor. I got so close to the front, and I'm like, I've survived the Florida Metallica show. This is awesome. And these guys that were there, like in their nice button-up fun pattern shirts, were literally doing Facebook Live. From Master of Puppets,
off, dude.
From Puppets onward, and he was right in front of me, and then he would turn the phone and be like, "Woo!" And I'm like, this fucking sucks."
Yeah, you're
and
lost,
I just like,
man.
and I didn't want to go to, every time I would go a few steps back, I'm like, I'm not comfortable. And I just went up going to the back of the house. I'm like, okay, I know the encore is going to be Sandman. Let's just get this over with.
Yeah, you're living for someone else when you're doing that. Like,
yeah,
you can remember it. And I'm not saying don't take a video, don't take a photo.
Yeah.
I like to do that when I walk into the venue. I take a 1-second video. Okay, I want to remember it. But it's just not the way to watch it. I'll close on this whole thing by saying this. I was at a fucked up concert. This was last year.
Yeah.
And I'm in the mosh pit as a 36-year-old. I'm hurting. I'm doing my worst in there. But some guy is trying to get a video in the mosh pit. And almost hardingly, this giant hardcore looking fella just fucking smoked his phone. Boom! And the guy holding the phone was trying to get mad. And the guy who had smoked it had so much support that another guy kicked the phone out of the pit. And I was like, I love it. Like, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have smoked the guy's phone. I would have been passively upset. But there's a giant straight edge guy. Boom! I was like, yeah, dude, more of this, man. Yeah, get it out of here. And then the guys kept trying to get mad. It's like, no, dude, no one wants your phone here. You're getting that. This is the big hardcore guy has all of us. We're on his side. We don't want your phone here.
Look at the environment you're in. You're in a mosh pit. There's one rule. If you fall down, somebody's going to pick you up. But until then, they're going to beat the shit out of you, and you're going to be fighting back. It's a
also,
mosh
if you
pit.
fall, help them up doesn't go for Siri. Siri gets kicked out of the circle. We say, goodbye, Siri.
Yeah, no room in the pit for Siri. That's
not at all. But it was a cathartic moment to see this giant guy do that.
One quick takeaway one more thing to add about the digital souvenirs. They did 10 different versions of the song, and they're all different. So it's like you got guitar and drums, you got acoustic guitar and drums, you've got piano and drums, you've got electric keyboard and drums.
Every arrangement of these three things.
But you got to remember they also had the marimba. On
the nurse. Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure there's a marimba version. I think there might be an electric bass version, and they weren't all great. They couldn't all be hits. You got to play this song 10 different ways. I got to say, as much as I love the initiative, if I'm there on a night where it's like marimba and bongos, I'm like, I don't need the two. They can keep the $2.
This is what being a Jack White fan is, right? And you would know this better certainly than me, but it is enjoying the Willy Wonka-ness of it and embracing that some of it is going to be lesser in the name of expansion and creativity and taking chances. So I agree with you. In the moment, I'm mad seeing the worst version of Denial Twist, but hipster me 20 years in the future, seeing the one no one else saw is also like, oh, okay, I see you, Jack. So it can cut both ways for me.
The Willy Wonka approach to music, it's something you just have to like appreciate. And like there's going to be some weird shit, and you want artists to create weird shit. There's a lot of weird stuff on Get Behind Me, Satan. And at the same time, there's like literally some of their strongest songs are on this album. And art, if I didn't want to like an artist and take the crazy shit with the bangers, like, then you would go listen to an active rock radio station and just be like, I'm gonna pick no knock to them, I'm picking Foo Fighters.
I'll knock them. I can't stand that band. You know what I call them, Ryan? I call them the Food Fighters.
Come on.
Just in an effort to sort of insult them by calling them the Food Fighters.
Well, listen,
because everybody likes food. They're the only guys who are against it. I always say eating is the only thing I could do 3 times a day for my entire life and still look forward to the next one. Dave Grohl and his buddies, they're against that.
3. You know who loves the number 3?
Who's that?
Jack White. Probably loves eating too, just like it.
Oh, sure.
So also on the Get Behind Me Satan tour, they found this like crazy Japanese company that made these portable record players that would play 1-inch plastic records.
Yeah, I know this. Yeah.
And I don't know how many they bought. They couldn't have got enough. Like, it was such a hit. They made the Denial Twist as one of those Inchaphone singles, but Jack White was in full Willy Wonka mode. Was like, nah, these aren't going to be for releases. You got to get one for me personally for like the friend, family, the right reason. So if you come across a Denial Twist Inchaphone single, you clearly had a good showing to Mr. Jack White, and he gave you one.
Is that pretty treasured amongst the White Stripes collector verse? An Inchaphone, a word I've never heard before today. A copy of the Denial Twist. And love, by the way. If you're out there rocking an Inchaphone collection, respect. That seems, you're just like pulling out this tiny, I'm imagining you're pulling out like a kitchen drawer of your Inchaphones.
Oh, I forget what it was. It might have been an SNL bit where it's like the really tiny cell phone, like Will Ferrell.
Oh, yeah. I think that is SNL. Yeah. You're ringing a bell. Yeah.
So I just picture like, you guys want to hear some music?
Yeah. He's putting it into his iPod Nano.
It's up there with sought after treasures. There was just an article this week that was like outlining the most expensive things sold on Discogs.
Oh, that's fun. I'd like to read that.
Lafayette Blues, the single, was the most expensive one. Somebody sold and bought a copy. And what makes it so rare is for the CD release party, Jack and the guy who ran Italy Records, Dave Buick, who now works at Third Man, they hand painted 15 of them. So
wow,
it's if you get a one that was done by Jack, they're all signed by the band too. It's like it is a literal piece of art by this band. So those go for that one went for $25,000 American.
Collecting and events are the literal only things that make me wish I was a rich guy. I've got it all otherwise. I love my life. I'm not a rich guy, but I love my life. I've got it all. I've got everything I want outside of being able to attend anything I want.
Yeah.
And like high-end collector items like that. Like, I don't know, 25 grand probably feels too steep no matter how rich I was. But just like, when the like a giant, I mean, I don't know if your listeners know this, but there was a Japanese fighting federation, Pride FC.
Yeah.
And Mark Coleman, when he was on Hard Times, auctioned his open weight trophy. It's like 6 feet tall.
Wow.
I think it went for like 65,000 or something. But it's like, you think of the collecting world, it's like, that's a real thing. Like, that's the thing. And it's of course, that's so out of reach for me, but a rich guy can have that.
Part of me loves the, I don't know. Like I know that there are really rich guys that are like money marks for Jack White. I know that
I'm sure.
one of the copper guitars from the Ragtime Tour is like 8 were made.
I love that guitar.
Yeah, some random tech guy who is from Vancouver or in Vancouver and LA has one of them, and I DM'd him on Instagram like, "Do you have this guitar?" Did not get a word back because he's smart. But yeah, I would love to own some random weird shit. And I mean, fuck, I just think of Jack, like last year he posted this Instagram video, this reel of all of his Misfits 7-inch singles.
Wow, cool.
And I'm like, that box is worth so much money.
Just that, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, Jesus. Yeah, I see that, and I'm like, I'd like to own some pretty cool shit. I'd love to spend 5, 6 figures on something cool.
In the vein of this discussion, Jack White must be the modern artist who scratches that itch for those collectors the most. Like, he's so collector pilled in some ways, from the Third Man vault to the way he releases things, even hiding stuff in embroidery. Or,
yeah.
Not embroidery.
Upholstery.
Thank you very much. Upholstery. That stuff is so built for that world, right? Well, not from Jack, but I'm saying it just so happens to be perfect for that world.
Well, yeah, it's like he wants to create these rare things that are super special and unique, and by golly, a lot of people like him, and by golly, a lot of people want to buy them, and given the opportunity, they'll throw down those shekels. Like it's just him doing what he wants to do, and crap, that's great. That's great for the collector market.
No doubt.
Let's talk about the music video for
Yeah.
this. Now, this is the last video that Michel Gondry directed for the White Stripes. There should have been one more in an episode with Mike Noble. He wrote a treatment for a video that was essentially I'm slowly turning into you. Where he wanted to create somebody morphing from Meg into Jack, and huge undertaking. It didn't wind up happening. But he did this video for the Denial Twist that incorporates the relationship with Conan O'Brien, an actual head figurine kind of sculpture statue that
I love that thing.
Michel Gondry made for them to give to Conan, and just a wild ass video that you can clearly tell that Michel Gondry got to do all the stuff he loves to do: warp perspectives, living sets, and just a fun video that you kind of can't look away from. Tell me about this video.
Well, of course, I'm always happy to come on here. You're my dear friend. I like the White Stripes. Always happy to come on the show. However, to talk about the Denial Twist in particular is very fun for me, not even because of the song, but because of this music video largely. I, of course, am an enormous geek for late night television. This video is probably the most tied music video ever to a real late night show. There's you have the Sum 41 and the Strokes play on fake late night shows. It's almost a trend at the time to do things of this nature, but they do, like Ryan points out, go to the late night with Conan O'Brien, the 12:30 slot show. And this is where, you love the internet, right? It's given us these lives, you and I in particular, that are, we get to dive into things and unlock these worlds, and it's so fun. However, getting the answers is sometimes less satisfying than not knowing.
Yeah.
And I just remember, again, watching Conan all the time and being a White Stripes fan. And they do the residency on late night. I think it's for the album before this, I'm not mistaken. For
Elephant. Yeah.
But regardless, I was just so sure that Conan and Jack White were friends, but it didn't get confirmed until years later. Like, they never would actually.
Yeah.
But you always saw, if you were paying attention, like, the seeds of this relationship. And so when this video comes out, this was almost I knew it. I knew these sons of guns were up to something. And then so you think of just the talent involved having Michel Gondry, Conan O'Brien, and Jack White in a room in this era, like arguably all three of them in their at least arguable primes for real.
Mm-hmm.
And being willing to sort of play ball. I mean, the video, like so many Michel Gondry videos, isn't an exploration of anything too interesting so much as it is a visual delight, especially for somebody, if you enjoy the Late Night with Conan O'Brien show. You sort of see, like, what I call like a deconstructed version of the set through like this warped lens, but it is unmistakably the Conan O'Brien set, and Conan is there for the video, but it's done with this paper mache doll-like, almost creepy visual effect, and then on top of the fisheye lens over the whole thing. It's a very strange watch, again, like so many of his are. But it just sort of locked so many things together for me, where it's like Jack White and Conan are friends. And that's the coolest thing in the world. They're both two of the coolest guys I can imagine at this age. It's unbelievable to think of them as creative collaborators, and Conan opening up the set of Late Night to be able to get that done. And I imagine having a name director like Michel Gondry there helps sort of get you in the door at NBC. And now maybe the friendship with Conan was enough, but it certainly doesn't hurt to have him on board. So love this video, triggers a lot for me. And I watched it a couple times today, and I was like, it's okay to just look cool. Like, not everything has to. I love movies like that too. Like, it is enough to just be visually, not enough, but it certainly helps to just be visually interesting instead of feeling this need for constant plot turns and whatever else. So AAA thumbs up from me on the Denial Twist video.
In preparing for it, I found a making of a video, and
cool.
it's very cool because it wasn't the actual late night set. It was a replica.
Oh, okay.
And when they're on the chairs, it's the chairs are super big, and you can see like Jack and Meg like are like sitting like children, and so at that point in post, they're gonna squish it together so it looks just so the perspective
almost cut out the middle.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So I'm wrong. They weren't on the set. But what a great recreation they did. Very cool.
It's hard not to, because everything is so distorted and the perspective is so kind of wonky. You're like, it's very easy to just assume that it is. And then when they go to the street, they have lots of like, little people that, because they've got this tiny car, they got a full-size Jack and Meg, they kind of stretch everything out in post, so you again have this warped perspective. And then they go to this rinky-dink little apartment, which is just, it is I would say it's one of the final pieces of Jack and Meg lore of what are they, because
I hadn't even really thought of it under that lens. Yeah, I guess so, The White Stripes are going home together. Yeah. Or starting their day.
Exactly, yeah. And then right off the top of the video, you've got that that big foot with the white shoe and the red pant that smashes the piano. And you're like, well, what the hell was that? And then, that's Meg's effort to fix the TV and the rabbit ears, is just step on it a bit. And it all kind of it all ties together. But what I liked watching this video, here we are with short attention span theater in the world that we live in now. But like the way it's done, and it's kind of reminded me of, what's the movie? What's the Michael Keaton movie that's shot in one take?
Oh, a Birdman.
It kind of just has this Birdman vibe.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. Even like the red curtains behind our like stage-esque guy. I see what you're saying.
But there's not a moment. Oh, outstanding flick. But there's no point in the video where I'm like, there's no time to waste. There's something happening the whole time, and you're either marveling at what you're seeing, you're trying to make sense of what's going to happen. And I mean, that's the point of a great music video, where it's just, all gas, and you want to watch it from start to finish.
I'll tell you, my dear buddy Matt Prince and I, on Friday nights, we used to just get 20 beers and turn on YouTube and watch music videos.
Love it already.
And I'm telling you, I miss those nights so much. Like, music videos capture something very special, and I don't know that the generation after us or before us necessarily have this massive heart for it, but just going through the videos, Denial Twist really unlocked that for me, where it's like, I'm overdue for like a music video night. What a great way to take in music. I'm still kind of a fossilized dinosaur. Like, I usually throw on an album, but just going through a bunch of music videos is a cool way to do it.
Well, there's so much effort. There's so much thought.
That's right. And budget, really, for like a 3-minute thing very often. But they knew that these bands could live or die off of them. Like, you could actually get over via this music video. You're putting it all on the line. Sorry to interrupt you there, Ryan.
No, it's just, in the world that we're in of downsizing and shutting stuff down and not investing in art, like, think of the steps that went into the Denial Twist music video. High effort, money well spent. You have the best people that you could potentially have, high effort, high spend, high reward. And ever since then, and just all of that gets stripped away. And, I don't think this generation, no knock to them, but they didn't grow up where it's like, you got to see this new video from this hot band. It is huge. It is insane. They do all this stuff. Now it's like, could we get a half-assed, rendition of you doing this for a music video, or even the biggest acts in the world? Like, I don't know what the biggest Taylor Swift music video was off Midnights, and I'm sure
I watched that Sabrina Carpenter Espresso one a couple times, but I do know what you mean.
Yeah,
there is, though, just to give the youth some credit here.
Yeah.
And I talk to I have young sisters, but I got a 20-year-old sister. I talk to her about this all the time. It's like, it's true, but they were never incentivized or given the chance to get into that stuff. The real problem for me is the removal of the inclusion of on-demand art. Like, a music video is not going to be as special if you can just watch it on a screen this big into infinity with no roadblock. You know as well as me, maybe you're home from lunch at school, you're home right after school, video flows on, and you're just like salivate. Okay, I like this one. Yeah, I don't like this one as much. I like this one. I like this one. But the one I'm really waiting for, I know it's in rotation right now. Like, gimme A Man Before Midnight. Like, I'm waiting for this video. And then when it hits, you're like, oh my God, dude, I'm watching it. And then you gotta wait the rest of the day. Maybe you see it again, maybe you don't. But I know people will say that with radio, but I think with video, it has twice the effect.
Mm-hmm.
it's to be able to just overdose on anything, I just don't think is helpful.
Yeah. And what you've described, like, in the moment was the most annoying thing in the world of like, why can't I just record this once on VHS tape? Because then when you did, you'd never cared about it. Like, it's how
you burn through it in a week or whatever.
I just remember in 2003, like when Seven Nation Army would be on like the Much Music countdown. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I know it's like 2 or 3. I got to sit through Somebody Told Me. I got to sit through Evanescence, sit
through Evanescence. Come on. You were on your couch going, wake me up inside. Yeah.
But it's special stuff that I want to romanticize, but also don't, because it wasn't that great in the moment. It was just the life that we lived.
Can't wake up. No, but I think that there is just this, I don't know that I fully agree, because I think it parallels so many things in life where the higher effort way actually was better and more meaningful.
Yeah.
And so the lack of knowledge that you're doing it the high effort way, you're just doing it the way, is actually a useful way to exist, for me anyway.
No, I like that, and I'm gonna have to change my stance, change my take.
I think we more agree than disagree. For two fogies going, oh, it used to be better.
It used to be better. The White Stripes performed this song 43 times, 60th all time. First time was in the Auditorio Coca-Cola at Park Fundidora in Monterrey, Mexico.
Great spot.
May 11th, and they last played at their second last show at the Sloth Furnaces in Birmingham, Alabama. That was July 30th, 2007. So the live history of this song is 26 months. It was a live song. So put that into perspective of what you've done for 26 months, and it's. You had to. It comes down to you had to be there, and you're lucky if you got to experience it. Because I was flabbergasted by this, and so are you. Jack White has never performed this song as a solo artist.
Why do you think that is?
So I was putting some thought into that, and there are some songs that don't make sense for a full band to cover. There are some songs that are just quintessentially Jack and Meg special, Jack and Meg energy.
But this one has a bass on it. Like, there is a third instrument on this song.
I don't have an answer for you. I think that it is like some things just are over there. Maybe they've got Jack's got a lot of songs. He's got a huge discography of all these bands. Why play Denial Twist when I can play My Doorbell, which he does play as a solo artist?
That's what I was going to ask, and I think that's what I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those 2 songs he's going to play, and maybe the band, or he knows the crowd, are going to respond to My Doorbell more. That's what I think.
There's not a lot of songs off Get Behind Me, Satan that he plays outside of Blue Orchid and My Doorbell, and
what I would have guessed.
That's such a significant album for them. Like, it was an experience they went through of like nothing going right. We got to come up with the follow up to Elephant, and I think that it's there's a significance, there's a fondness that they hold close to them of like they might not have gotten out of that. Ben Blackwell did say like. Inspiration and motivation was at an odd low to start crafting this album, and I think that they were able to do it, create something so unique and receive so well. Like, that's something you want to leave in that kind of White Stripes lore. And
I'm very glad the album exists. It's very interesting in their discography, right?
It's it is baffling. There's so much, like the choices that go into it, the song selection, the way the songs are crafted, the instruments used. It's a quintessential example of everything that is the White Stripes, yet it's nothing like the White Stripes.
Yeah, I think that's certainly how it'll be remembered in its in their discography.
Yeah.
I prefer it to Icky Thump, but I think that's the only record I like it better than.
Icky Thump is my favorite album. I say this a lot. It's my favorite album. It's not their best album.
Yeah. That one, I think it's last for me, but I still like it.
Yeah.
But,
it's still an 8 out of 10 for me.
I like Icky Thump.
Josh, as we wrap up, as you know, I like to ask everybody the same
We're
question.
wrapping up.
We've been here an hour, baby.
I was ready to go. I had 2 hours on the books. Let's talk a little White Stripes. Let's get into it. The third time it was on the lips. Come on. You got it all wrong, man. No, all right. Well, sorry, Ryan.
Next time you listen to this song, what's in and go through your head?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think that it'll be missing music videos. I think that'll be the main takeaway, or maybe certainly as it pertains to nowadays. Forgive me for being so trite here, but late night TV is going away, and the late night TV that exists sucks shit. And if I saw Jimmy Fallon in the street, I would tell him, "You got a problem with me," and he would go, "Ah!" and start clapping like a maniac,
laughing hysterically.
I'd be like, "I'm not joking, partner." But it'll wrench me back to a time where the things that I most enjoy were parts of pop culture, and I miss the monoculture. I miss terrestrial linear programming, and I think that seeing Conan O'Brien, Michel Gondry, and Jack White play a song off Get Behind Me, Satan, or rather while a song off Get Behind Me, Satan is playing, will wrench me back to that the next time I hear it.
I watched them give the Conan O'Brien sculpture, like that was during their 2003 residency, and I heard something I heard nightly for a decade on this video, and you hear Conan go, "Okay, that's it for here. Stay tuned for Last Call with Carson Daly," and I was brought back to being sleep
pop.
I was like, I haven't thought of Carson Daly or Last Call with Carson Daly, which I'd never watched and never wanted to watch, but you knew it was there if you couldn't sleep.
2 things about Carson Daly's Last Call. One, big shout out to him for when my friend Bo and I were out late running around as young rapscallions, and you're maybe a little bit too hyped up off anything to go to sleep, and you're like, oh, there's still live television on?
That always felt good.
And 2, big shout out to the man David Letterman for his great Carson Daly joke. Having a show at 2 a.m. is basically the same as not having a show.
Okay, that was Ryan. I'm Ryan. That was Josh. Ryan and Josh. What a guy. Officiated my wedding. Did a hell of a job doing it. They built a new amphitheater really close to our house and here in Vancouver. And I was like, oh, wouldn't it be great if Jack White played it? And then, of all bands, a band I used to really love and now not so much, Motley Crue played there last night to a festival audience, if you know what I mean. That's a Spinal Tap reference. And I could hear Tommy Lee complaining on stage, and he says, oh man, before we came out here we heard this bullshit that it's got to be under 97 decibels, and he goes, man, I piss louder than that. And they all suck, and they're all washed, and they're all old, and a lot of them are pretty uncool now, but I gotta give it to T-Bone Tommy Lee for the line like that. That has made me laugh all day today. And it also made me think, we can't have Jack White playing that amphitheater. 96 dB? Come on. No chance. Thanks for listening. The Hardest Podcast to Podcast is hosted and produced by me, Ryan Schaap. Artwork by Catlin Lankley. Amanda Schultz is our assistant editorial producer. And Frozen Charlotte raffle enterer. And Mike Noble, he's our Gato.